All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Carson's Conversations, number 43, I believe. And honestly, I want to talk about what happened in like the comedy world right now because Bill Burr, one of the funniest stand-up comedians, went on a massive rant about CNN and how they're a complete kind of fraudulent organization where they were pretty much just forcing Trump into office just by giving him all this free spotlight and saying that they're un-American and gross and just as evil as Fox. And honestly, when you look at it and you look at what they've been doing, I agree. Like, there's no separation between them and Fox in my eyes. It's just either they're the left Fox, right? Like, all the things they've been doing have just completely spewing one agenda. Fox does the same thing, spews the right-wing agenda, CNN the left, and they just completely are fraudulent and don't actually focus on telling straight and honest news. And like you see that in all news networks now, it's just completely biased. There's no clear news. You actually have to go to 14 different places, and half the time you're going to find it better on like an Instagram article that some random journalist from university is writing, and it's going to get them a good grade or some bullshit like that. Like, it's so bad. You can't trust any news network. It's so frustrating. And now to see that a comedian calling out CNN being bad, the entire news cycle has flipped and is now trash talking the comedian for calling out the truth. What is that? Comedians are supposed to be the group of people that just tell the truth. Even though it might be dark, it might be sinister, and it might displease many people, they're the people that get to the real things. They'll break it down. But now that you're attacking a comedian over saying that CNN is trash, that's just sad. It's CNN. What have they been doing? They're corporatized. They've been like that for years. They're a massive corporation just going to do whatever the big bucks are going to pay them, exactly like with politics. Come on, like, it's bullshit. Who cares? Any news network now is just BS. Even in Canada, I can't find any news network that doesn't have a weird agenda to it. There's always a little tinge of left or right, or well, nothing more interesting than that. It's always just a hate cycle. It's always like, how are we going to get these people to think one way, the little sheep? How are we going to make them think about this in this way to make sure that they're scared of that? Like, CNN pretty much just did every single day there'd be a bunch of things about Trump, right? Trump, 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 Trump. They'd probably be happy if he got back in just so they could make more money. It makes sense because that's where everybody's tuning in because they're worried Trump's going to do something crazy. And Biden's just normal. He's like a kind of a boring president. That makes sense. Well, come on. Like, it makes sense why they're doing that because it's a business. It's not news anymore. It's how can we make more money by more clicks and more people on our website. It's completely stepped away from what it could have been and what it should be. Like the traditional news back in the day when there'd be actual journalists going for something interesting, trying to find a new piece of information that's going to blow the tops off of everything. That's left to whistleblowers that get exiled to different countries, so they have to do journalism from like Brazil. Look, like, it's so sad now because you can never actually see what's the truth and what isn't. You have to do all this new research for yourself and try and get something to make more sense. But that just never happens. And the same thing with universities. A lot of them just become echo chambers. You're just going to hear the same message over and over and over. There's no... They may teach you critical thinking. They may try to. At least my professor didn't. That's a whole nother story. They may try to teach you these things that are going to allow you to think in different ways, but that doesn't happen. It's just an echo chamber for a lot of people in tenure to just say the ideas that they believe, even though they might be so crazy left or so crazy right, not really right, because it's more of a left-leaning thing in university, and it just has an agenda behind it, and it feels weird to be a part of that and listen to that when everything has become that. Everything, even your friends. Like, there's a lot of people I know that they're clearly on the right side, they're clearly on the left, and then you go, it doesn't matter. Why? Who cares that? Why are we so separated from that? Like, we shouldn't be so segregated in the sense that an idea, a political thought is going to separate you from friends. And you go, why did we even get to that stage? Why did we just like continue to run down that path of just anger towards somebody else for no reason? And it reflects everything in the media. It's because the larger side, the programming is just continuously trying to split one side to the other. They're trying to get the red against the blue against the red. It's the same thing all the time. It's the same cycle every 4 years. Every prime minister, every president, every dictator, not really, Kim Jong-un, that's a whole nother story. That's a crazy thing that the Korean timeline actually starts with the birth of Kim Jong-un instead of like the birth of Christ. It's a completely different thing. But even with that type of stuff, even with different political leaders and stuff like that, it's just, you can see there's obviously an agenda. There's just power hungry. If you're trying to be a president or a prime minister, you have to have some insane desire for power. You have to be an unbelievable narcissist to think, oh, I'm going to be the person that rules the entire country. But then you get career politicians that are just trying the entire time. This politics shit's boring. I'm sorry, guys. But it's dumb. It's so frustrating to see that because I just want to hear good news. I don't want to hear about, like, that Vancouver is on fire for the 400th time, even though you can't do anything. We get the climate change scare. Stop being so negative about everything. It's just always, and I get maybe we do live in such a terrible negative world according to all those news broadcasts and all those articles and every single person on Instagram saying the world is terrible. There's nothing good in it. What does that do to you? It's like if you listen to bad music for so long, if you listen to like crazy gangster rap where it's just about killing and selling drugs and doing all this crazy stuff, you're going to be in a bad mood the entire time. You're listening to Screamo, you're listening to some really, really raunchy, bad punk music, you're going to be in a bad mood versus listening to like Mac DeMarco, who's just such a chill guy singing about cigarettes and how he enjoys, like, that's the same thing. The media you take in that's extremely negative, the more you learn about the world, like I was saying on the last time, it was just like, it's going to get worse. The way you look at the world is going to get worse if you continue to do that. So stop with this bullshit. It's the same thing when like you're saying eat the rich and all this angry stuff. Like with Bezos going to the moon, not the moon, what am I saying? With Bezos going to space with his little penis rocket, because that thing looks so dumb. Elon's just way cooler, even though I'm an Elon fanboy. I'll say that. He's a cool dude. But Bezos is just like, send himself up to space just because he has so much money, he can just do whatever he wants. That's kind of a crazy thing. He's totally Lex Luthor. There's no doubt in my mind that guy is Lex Luthor. He's going to do some shady stuff all the time. And you just go, there's always going to be a negative news cycle on someone that's that powerful, right? Anybody that has enough money to just send themselves into space for fun, it's kind of comical, to be completely honest. Because you would never think in a million years, well, I guess not in a million years, but you would never genuinely think someone would just send themselves to space. Even though this was like a 20-year project to get a rocket to go shoot yourself into space. That's just insane. Like, it's crazy. And then the immediate news cycle, as soon as they went up and as soon as they orbited or what, I don't know the actual structure of what they did, but as soon as they shot themselves up into space, the funny thing is that one guy that was going to go up with Jeff Bezos paid $28 million, right? And then couldn't go up on this rocket with Bezos because he was double booked. Two things in one day. Oh my God, what are you doing? You're going to go to space, but you got to go to your meeting? Oh, what a loser. He does have $28 million to throw at something stupid, but so he got replaced by this like 29-year-old kid, trust fund kid, and that kid just got shot up to space with like two old people that were just probably like oil tycoons. And then there's Bezos with his little cowboy hat looking like a little Texan, and it's so weird because you think, oh, we're in a simulation, like you have that always joke that everybody says, and you're like, honestly, the fact that this stuff's happening, at least there's been like 4 expansion packs of this game that we're playing. High society is just pulling the strings and making everything really exciting for them. Where we got the aliens watching live through the stars or something. This is a good old Truman Show. Come on, like Bezos, at least make a good looking rocket if you're gonna shoot people into space. It looks like a sperm cell. Like it's so dumb. You get sent up on the ugliest rocket ever. You got the Virgin Galactic one, was actually kind of sick. They fly it up and then they rocket it off. Much more efficient way. It's exactly Very similar to what the NASA actually did, right? They would fly it up on like a 747, and then they'd have the space shuttle just launch off of that. That's exactly what Virgin Galactic did, and they did it before Bezos, and it cost, I think Bezos was spending $1 billion, no, what was it? I think it was like upwards of $500 million a year just burning it. And then Richard Branson was selling or spending like $250 million to make this thing, and they beat him. And he started 4 years later. That's cool. That's the one thing. Like, we talk about races and stuff like that, and like space race and who's going to go to the moon and make a moon base again, all that stuff. And that's going to be really exciting coming up. But then you go, we're going to have some more crazy things. Like, what billionaire is going to be able to build their own city soon? Elon's already starting doing that. That's some crazy stuff. And then you're going to get I honestly feel like there'll be like riots if somebody made that stuff. And they'd be like, yo, we're going to tax the city. Tax Elon. We got to ruin it. Come on, we need some more Teslas. We need some more interesting things. But speaking of silly, weird, crazy things, Jackass 4 just released their trailer. And I don't know how long it's been. It's been a bunch of years, but I grew up watching those movies, watching Steve-O do a bunch of stupid stuff, watching Johnny Knoxville do flips and like break every bone in his body and just get back up. And it's kind of refreshing to see that Steve-O's back doing what he's done and knowing how crazy of a life that guy had, like being a complete crazy drug addict, losing like all of his teeth, but also being like his dad was like mad wealthy, and then he became this type of like crazy rock star guy. That is one of the most crazy human beings ever, really. And the fact that they're going back and doing a fourth one, and they have like a bunch of rappers like Tyler, the Creator, and who else was it? I don't even know. But they have a bunch of different rappers in it, and they made it. It looked really funny, and I'm very excited because that always like those types of movies, like the crazy raunchy, you could never watch with your parents' movies. Always remind me of like Borat and like the Borat and like Bruno and anything from Sacha Baron Cohen. Those movies are always phenomenal because they're so gross and so disturbing to look at that you're like, I can't look away because I'm so intrigued. Like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Like, where are we going to go? What's going to happen? And then it goes some way you could never expect. The twists are amazing. It's better than any movie that actually has a plot other than just launching yourself out of cannons into things. And you see that, like, we talk about the bad news that's always happening, and then you have something that's just so crazy and so absurd, like Jackass 1, 2, 3, and 4. And, like, going down hills and shopping carts and crashing into cars and stuff. That's insane. Like, nobody's doing that. No logical person is doing that unless you're getting paid a bunch of money to do it. I'd probably do it if I was getting paid a bunch and had a good dentist on standby. Like, it's good to see that type of stuff, the fun, crazy things are kind of coming back. Because after a year, like, of COVID, everybody's sad. Everybody's crazy. Depression is bad. Like, junkie, like, no, sorry, that's a bad word. But overdose rates went up so high. I remember, like, walking through Ottawa, like, during the pandemic, and the amount of just Narcan spray I found in random spots. And I know that's a good thing, just in case somebody is ODing. But it's daunting when you're walking around at 2 a.m. coming home from a friend's house. And you kind of see, oh, I'm in that area. It's kind of rough to see the degradation of a place. Even though I hadn't been there for long, and I was just kind of getting used to it. And honestly, not really living in super rough spots all the time. When you're walking through a couple places at night and you see that stuff, you're like, wow, we definitely need some more help, because it's scary to see a bunch of people cornered up underneath a pathway and just go, what can we do here, right? You got to find a way to fix it for more people so they don't have those troubles, and then you can actually put them back into the workforce. And it's like that weird thing where you're always just like, what are we doing to solve this? And they're like, oh, we're just going to do more treatment centers and stuff like that. But that's treatment. You'll get better, but you need to get into the rhythm of actually being like a member of society, right? And then, because you can fall back into that trap if you don't change the people you're with. It's like if you're with people that are either drinking a lot or smoking a lot or doing anything like that, you're so much more likely to join them because you're around people that are doing that. If you're around people that do dumb things, you're most likely going to do dumb things. If you surround yourself with people that are really smart and do interesting things and do crazy, and just do insanely interesting and beautiful things, you're more likely to do those things. And it goes to the same. It's like the same thing with anything. Like if you want to be successful, be with successful people, and if you want to quit drugs, don't be with people that are doing drugs. Or you want to do. And I know I'm completely simplifying that, and I'm not justifying anything of like the current state of the overdose population in North America, because that stuff it's really bad right now, because it's just, at least it's warm in a lot of the southern places in the States. But then you go, what's next? Where do we? And you're like, damn, this is scary. It's kind of sad. Really sad, and it's rough, and you go, wow, like it's crazy, but you can see people turn around. Like even with Steve-O, like Steve-O was a crazy drug addict, like and did every drug in the book, but now he's making movies, making a ton of money, got a YouTube channel, doing the craziest things. Hey, you might as well. And for me, I always want, it's gonna be a weird transition to go from talking about Steve-O doing drugs to me working, but. For me, I always want to find a way to be able to be that creative. And I know I'm not saying do a bunch of drugs and you'll get creative, but I'm saying find a way for you to be a more creative person. Within like the first 2 weeks of coming back from my cottage in Nova Scotia, I was in like this rut and I was just ranting on this thing. And now I'm kind of in that stage, but I'm also at the point where I'm learning more and more that the smartest people know when to stop thinking. They know when to go, okay, this is an idea. This is something I can do. I know how I can do it, and I'm going to do it. And then you just stop. Stop thinking. You don't go, I could do this, but this could go wrong. You think and you overthink and you overthink and you overthink. Yeah, the smartest people 100% know when to stop thinking about something and just actively do it. The actionable cause of getting something done. And that's where I found myself now, because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, where do I go? Why am I overthinking a 15-second video to post on TikTok that nobody is really going to watch? Or why am I overthinking all these other crazy things? It's pointless, and it's a waste of time, because you could post that video, get 3 people to watch it, who cares, and then go to something else, right? Like, you could just completely avoid the weird self-pity of, will people watch this? And you see, like, there's, like, multiple people that say quality over quantity, and then there's people that say quantity over quality, like Gary Vee does that, and I think that's super stupid, because if you want to make an actual legitimate thing, maybe he's just doing some cool higher-up thing where he's telling all these people that are trying to be creators to just post a bunch of dumb things, and then nobody watches them, and then he keeps up at that spot, and it's just, like, feeding to the cycle. I don't know about that. It's probably kind of slanderous, but... For me, yeah, it's hard, because I'm at the point now where I'm just like, I'm just going to make a bunch of these episodes. I'm just going to keep doing these on and on and on. And I need more people to talk to. Right? Because I'm kind of alone. I'm literally in a house by myself just working. And I work freelance digital stuff. So it's not really like I'm out talking to people all the time. I'm working. I'm doing as much as I can. Or I get pulled into the cycle of playing UFC 4 for way too long and making my friend in the game and just... I had a buddy come over yesterday and we spent like 4 hours just playing UFC 4, making one of our friends, like one of our friends is a character, and just making him like the best striker possible. See, and then I get pulled into that loop and I'm just like, I want to play this game way more because it's very, very fun. But then you go, video games are not great for productivity. And then my brain goes to that weird spot where it's eating away at itself and I'm going, I need to be doing work. But maybe I should relax. But maybe I need to do more work. But maybe I should relax. And you get into that cycle. And like even with school, you're going to get into, for me, I'm going to get into that cycle and go, maybe I should be doing work. Maybe I should be doing business. Maybe I should relax. Maybe I should go out. Maybe I should do this. And you're overthinking. And you go, why not? I guess that might be a form of anxiety, but I don't believe in that for me. I think it's just how I think. I think it's just a weird... little way I do things, and you go, okay, why am I this way? Why am I doing that? Who cares? Why not? Just keep doing it. Keep running. I'm going to keep posting. I'm going to keep making more interesting videos and doing weird things. And then, hopefully, it works. It's like a call-out. It's like, you see those people, like J. Cole tweeted, like, what was it, before he became famous? He was like, I'll be famous by this date. And he was famous, like, well before it. And you just got to be able to retweet that thing and be like, that is an interesting-ass tweet to put up. I'm going to call it out. I'm going to be mad successful. I'm going to do all the things I want. And I guess that's the pressure from just knowing people that are successful and having I'm very fortunate, so I always want to try and surpass that level, right? It's those like super shitty cartoons that are like the guy riding a bike wants a car, the guy in the car wants a Ferrari, the guy in a Ferrari wants a jet, that type of thing. And you always want to be better than what you are, but then you do understand that you go, I need to take a break. I can't be running this all the time because it's pointless. Because I'm going to be running all this time and I'm not enjoying life. I'm just working and working and working. And taking a break is nice because you sit back and think and you go, what am I going to do next? And how am I going to do even better? And then you get to that fun cycle of just going on and on and on. And that's literally what I'm doing now. It's just I love doing these things so much. It's just the most exciting thing for me to like just catalog my thoughts and see how crazy I go. And I'll write down a couple ideas like Bezos going to space and being a little weird man in his tiny little penis rocket, or like Jackass 4 being insane, or the Bill Burr CNN thing was interesting for me though. I did enjoy that. And you just kind of keep going, keep pushing, keep thinking. I just keep going to do something interesting. Keep fighting. Fighting the good fight, as those nerds would say. We'll see. I think I can do... I believe in myself, and I know I'll be able to do something crazy. I think more people just got to think that way, where you go, I'm not going to settle for it. It's not going to be actually, a lot of people I know say, if I get to this level, if I make enough money, if all these ifs. No, it's for me. It's got to be a when. It has to be, when am I going to be what I want to be? When am I going to be happy? It's just not. That's a bad one actually. That just makes me sound like I'm sad. But when am I going to be successful? When am I going to be doing all the things I want to do? When? It's never if, because as soon as you set that self up, you give you the option to fail. You always think maybe there's a small possibility that you might lose and not do it properly and not win. And for me, I need to be in that mindset of I'm always going to win. I'm going to do it at whatever it kind of takes to get there. And then it'll be, not that I won't be happy, or then I won't be happy during the entire way, but I'll be there and I'll be doing something that I love. And it's a when, because I'm always going to get to that part and where I want to be. Because you can't just not think that way. You can't think, oh, if I'm going to do this, and if I'm going to be successful, and if I'm going to be happy, and if I'm able to do any of these things. No, you're always able to do anything. It's just a matter of putting work in. Like, I could get more views on this podcast the more I make them. I can get more views by clipping the videos out and putting them on different channels. I can get more views by posting it on my Instagram where I have followers. That's a matter of work. That's not a matter of how hard it is. Most of the things that people can do and people want to do, they can completely do just if you put effort in. And it's all about just putting your head to the grindstone and working your ass off. Anybody that's listening to this is either, I would say, 45 and 50, because they're watching this and they're a family friend. You guys got to leave. I'm sorry. Or they're somebody from my age, from like university or high school, and they're just listening, and they're like going to either take something from this and move on from it and better themselves, or they're just going to sit there and do the same thing over and over. And you just don't want to do that. It's pointless. Because think better, think further ahead, and think, what if I don't do it? Because if you're in that, if I don't, then you get into that another weird cycle if you're always checking yourself again. And when you go, when I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it now, and I'm not going to lose, and I'm not going to forget things, then you're set. And you're just killing it. And then you're just happy because doing things you enjoy. And for me, I'm going to be continuously doing these things now, because I thought about it like when I was at university in the res, I was like, why I can't film in here? So it was 8 months of not doing anything. And then it took me to the last 2 months to just realize, oh, everybody's doing Zoom calls anyway. You're just going to see the top portion of my chest. Why does that matter? So I just did it, and then you can continue. And those were some of my more interesting videos. I enjoyed them a lot. So that's it. It's honestly just a matter of doing it and when you're going to keep posting and just getting it done. And that's it. I'm done. Speaking of that, I'm going to go do other things. I have more interesting things I got to do.